The Miami Dolphins did not play their best offensive football in Week 11 coming off the bye, but managed to win 20-13. And to just quote Al Davis, just win, baby.
You are Locked On Dolphins, your daily Miami Dolphins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Miami, welcome to another episode of Locked On Dolphins. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Network. I am your host, Kyle Krabs, a lifelong Miami Dolphins fan, host of Locked On Dolphins, co-host of Locked On NFL Scouting with Joe Marino. You can find our shows on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to Club Dub. It's been a minute. And I know there's a lot of folks who are checking in at the club this evening that are probably a little bit salty about the team's performance with a 20-13 victory over the Raiders, in which the Dolphins had a lot of self-inflicted wounds and played sloppy football at times. There's a lot to correct. There's no doubt about that. But I go back to week one. I think about week one. And Mike McDaniel in the locker room after the game said, hey, defense, at some point this year, we are going to need you to win us a football game. And you made the stops we needed you to at the end against the Chargers. Fast forward to week 11, the Dolphins, despite the fact that they rolled up 422 yards of offense, and Tua Tagovailoa was 19 of 21 in the first half and on pace to throw for over 400 yards in this football game. And the Dolphins had some success running the football. You know, they had 100 yards collectively as a team before the kneel down on the final play of the game. The Dolphins did not do well on third down. The Dolphins turned the ball over several times within their own scoring territory. They gave him an explosive play to Devontae Adams for a touchdown. They only quote unquote only scored 20 points. And they need the defense for the second consecutive game to pitch a second half shutout for the Dolphins to emerge victorious and push their record to 7-3. But you know what? Here at Club Dub, we don't apologize for wins. Okay? They come in all different shapes and sizes. And they come in all different fashions, and they come in all different flavors. And this one might be a little bitter for some people's taste buds. And that's okay. At the end of the day, it is 1/17 of your season. And we understand collectively as fans of this team that this team is capable of playing better football than Julian Hill in a 2-minute offense situation and a golden opportunity to double dip to start to the middle eight. Last possession of the first half, the Dolphins getting the ball to start the second half. Julian Hill catches the ball at the first down marker and fumbles and gives the Raiders 3 points. Tua Tagovailoa scrambling for a first down. And as his wrist hits the ground, the ball pops out, and you give the Raiders another 3 points. Coming out to start the second half, and Jalen Waddle crosses the face of the safety with about 3 acres worth of grass to run to the sideline, and Tua Tagovailoa tries to throw up the 50-50 ball vertically down the field for an interception. And you know what the defense did? They took a big step back and said, okay, bet. We'll do it ourselves. That's fine. And that is, it was not the perfect complementary football game, but it was a game in which the Dolphins won in a different way than you probably have been accustomed to seeing them win this year. While also the Dolphins, and Mike McDaniel was kind of salty about this in the postgame press conference. He looked at his notes jokingly. He was like, how many yards do we have today? Oh, 422. Sorry, we didn't meet your standard. You're going to need to score more than 20 points. You're going to need Jason Sanders to not miss another 50-plus yard field goal. You're going to need to figure out your short yardage offensive calls. All of these things are questions, and they're developing storylines throughout the season, and there's no doubt about it. The Dolphins are down inside the 5-yard line going for it on fourth down in a short yardage situation. They've had some success resetting the line of scrimmage and running the ball. We're going to run a perimeter screen to Tyreek Hill, and as he catches the ball, he's going to take a helmet off his hand, and it's going to send him back to the locker room and miss a possession in the first half. Now, Jalen Waddle, I think if you're looking for things to get excited about, Jalen Waddle turned the volume up. Tyreek Hill goes off. Jalen Waddle says, okay, Let me remind you of I was a top 10 overall pick at the NFL draft in 2021. And he looked big time. Now, we didn't see Jalen again for the majority of the game. And I think that is one of the more, I don't want to say frustrating storylines of the season, but it feels like that's where there's some room to grow as the Dolphins continue to work through this season and they get themselves in a position to win more football games and look at a postseason run. Finding more ways to keep Jalen Waddle more involved in the offense, and we said it about a month ago, is something that we're going to need to watch. But more so than anything else, these third down and fourth down short yardage calls have got to go, especially when you have some of the success that Miami had running the football throughout the course of this football game. Now, they didn't dominate up front by any means, but Raheem Mostert rushed for 86 yards. Devon Achane made a very brief cameo in this football game. You could tell that Savon Ahmed kind of took some of the designed and scheme touches that Devon Achane was supposed to have, including a touchdown reception. But Ahmed touched the ball 6 times for 31 yards and a touchdown. You probably think Achane, who they got onto the field very early, had a 1-yard rush, and then got fallen on. Mike McDaniel said in the post game it was the same knee that he had just come off of injured reserve from having a sprain with. And they wanted to be a little cautious about it. He did say they got good feedback from the training staff at halftime and at the end of the first half, but he felt it would be, quote unquote, unfair to Achane to reinsert him back into the game at that stage of the game. So offensively, yeah, I know that's where all these questions are going to lie. Oh, Tua Tagovailoa, if you think he had an uncharacteristically poor performance, I would say there was some rhythm stuff that was out of sync, but he was 28 of 39 for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think the interception was a miscommunication with Waddle, where I think the obvious decision is they're in a too high safety look, that you don't have leverage. Throw that ball to the sideline outside the numbers and let him carve it down and run to it. You might not get the home run ball, but you're going to get a 30-plus yard gain out of it. And if he breaks one tackle, then you can get the house call. We talk about this Dolphins defense. Third consecutive game, I believe, in which they held the opposing team to under 300 yards of total offense. This team is going to be on the up as it pertains to total defense, scoring defense. That trend's probably going to continue. You play the Jets this next upcoming week. They have been struggling offensively. It's on a short week. There's a lot of additional storylines to get to. I want to talk a little bit about the Raiders, the respect I have for their performance, and Antonio Pierce. We'll talk about all of that next here on this episode of Locked On Dolphins. These days, every potential new hire feels like a high-stakes wager for you and your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. You can add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your profile to spread the word that you are hiring. And simple tools like screening questions allow you to focus in on candidates with just the right skills. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. I need to ask you a very serious question. You ever have trouble performing? You ever out with your partner and feel like you just can't get the job done? Does it get worse when there's more people around? Does it get especially bad with guacamole? I'm talking about weak chips, the ones that can't handle a hearty scoop of guac. Zach's Mighty Tortilla Chips understands the pain of trying to dip with a weak tortilla chip. No one wants to go soft on the guac. Well, I got good news for you because Zach's Mighty are made the right way. They're cut from actual tortillas, so they are sturdy, corny, organic, and they will take your tailgate to the next level. They are now available in Publix in sea salt, lime, and nacho flavors. You can find them in the deli section with the dips. So head on over to Publix, grab a bag of Zach's Mighty, and scoop that guac like the stud that you are. So I was going to make a LinkedIn and Raiders coaching search job, but I would love to see Antonio Pierce get a real crack. I respect the heck out of the way that the Raiders played this football game. When we did the crossover Thursday with Q, we talked about my expectations for the game, and I said, this is going to be a blue-collar effort by the Raiders. Do not be surprised if you get into the final 20, 30 minutes or 20, 15 minutes of the game, and it's a one-score game. My final score prediction was 27-13. Well, it finished 20-13. I said, look for Miami to post that back-breaking play late that blows this thing open and makes it a multi-score game. Miami had it. To be completely honest with you, Miami had it because there was a possession late in this football game about midway through the fourth quarter in which the Raiders are in possession of the football and they start inside their own 20-yard line. Aiden O'Connell attempts a pass. There's 6:21 left in the fourth quarter. He double clutches a smoke throw to the perimeter, and it is a backwards pass, and the ball is lying on the ground at the 2-yard line. And nobody attempts to pick it up for Miami's defense. I have no idea why. It was egregiously a backwards pass by 2 yards. And the refs, for whatever reason, also made the decision to blow the ball dead, which it very clearly and egregiously was not. No clue why. That was your chance to break that game open, in addition to Miami taking possession of the game with a chance to milk the clock. They take over after Jalen Phillips intercepts Aiden O'Connell on fourth down in plus territory. And that also could have been a pick six, which would have also made it 27-13. If he doesn't run into Christian Wilkins' backside as he is trying to run the ball through the traffic and get out into the open space. Miami takes over with 3:04 left, and they run on 2 plays for a first down. They're trying to kill the clock. The Raiders have 1 timeout, the 2-minute warning to work with. The Dolphins, 7 yards Raheem Mostert, 4 yards Raheem Mostert. They push the ball to midfield. Excuse me, they did not have they had all 3 timeouts. So this was the possession in which Miami needed to kill the timeouts and get first downs. So they get the first down, they burn all 3 timeouts, and they are faced with 3rd and 4 with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. And it is yet another short yardage situation. Now, 3rd and 4 is a little bit more 3rd and mid, but it's not 3rd and 1. It's not 4th and 1. It's not 4th and 2 on the 5-yard line, like the play earlier that they had Tyreek Hill take the loss for. And I really would have just loved to see Miami take the attitude on 4th and 4. Let's run the darn ball. In all things considered, yeah, the Raiders were flooding the line of scrimmage, and you understand there's the proposition of box counts, and there's the proposition of head count and numbers and situational football, and it's not always just as easy as just line up and run the ball, right? I get it. But you certainly would have loved to have seen them kill the game in that situation as compared to with 2 minutes and 5 seconds left, taking a false start, trying to draw a offsides that would get the first down and then punting the ball. And credit to Jake Bailey. Special teams was not a particularly strong suit of this game. I thought Cedric Wilson fair caught at least 1 punt that he could have had a return. Jason Sanders missed a 50-plus yard field goal, but he also made a 50-plus yard field goal. Jake Bailey's first punt, which came late in the second half, went about 30 yards and gave the Raiders the ball down 1 score at the 50-yard line. Now, his next one was a pipe bomb. So credit for sorting it out the next time you had to run out there. And they had to punt 3 consecutive possessions to end the game offensively. I think I've covered all of my bases from a offense and defense standpoint. The Raiders came into this game, and here's where I really want to focus my attention right now. The Raiders came into this game having found life with feeding Josh Jacobs the football. The Raiders ran 16 times in this contest for 36 yards. And it's worth remembering the score never got worse than 20-13. It was a 1-score game the entirety of the football game. The Dolphins, as a matter of fact, scored a touchdown with 2 minutes and 28 seconds left in the first half to take the lead for good. The entire first half of the game, the Raiders led, or it was tied until 2 minutes and 28 seconds left. And then they kicked the field goal to make it a 1-score game. And then the first 3 possessions of Miami's second half was interception on the first play, missed field goal from Jason Sanders, and then a field goal to make it 17-13. And that one came with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. For the Dolphins defense to come out and post 36 yards against the Raiders, Colt Miller didn't play. You acknowledge that. But the identity of this offense was supposed to be, we're going to pound the rock and take some shots. Well, they threw the ball 41 times in a game that was never worse than a 7-point margin. Props to that Dolphins defense. And we're going to talk about that Dolphins secondary here in just a minute. But I want to make sure that the front seven, in a world in which they at times played at a box count disadvantage, was able to have the success that they did against the run, is a huge feather in the cap of this team against a blue-collar team that really did come out here and try to play physical. Respect what the Raiders were able to do from a performance standpoint when there was, admittedly, a talent disparity between these two teams. Raiders came in hot, Miami off the bye. You'd like to not have the 3 turnovers offensively, the 2 fumbles and the interception, all of which were very easily avoidable plays. But you had them. Just about everything that went wrong, it was a Murphy's Law type of game to a certain degree for the Dolphins because you had 3 turnovers. You had a missed field goal. You had all these short yardage situations. You were terrible on third down. You gave up a home run ball early in the game. 2 of your turnovers were in scoring territory for the opposing offense. There was a lot of not good. And this is a game you very easily could have lost. And we've said it before, and we will say it again. You play like this against good teams, you're going to get waxed. You play like this in the postseason, you're going to get waxed. Can't do it. But this is a Raiders team that I know they play the Chiefs twice the rest of the way, but the Chargers lost. They fell to 4-6. They have the Vikings, the Colts, and the Broncos, in addition to the Chiefs twice. If you told me this team put forth a 9-8 effort, they lost 2 games the rest of the way and won the rest of their football games and had a chance to backdoor into the playoffs if the tail end of the AFC playoff field really falls apart, I would not be surprised. Respect the effort that this team put forth. Now, there are some Raiders fans who I heard from all week long who I'll be replying to when we're done talking about the show because I think they got a little bit of a rude awakening. Talked a lot of smack. But that's all in good fun. I'll like some comments. I won't have to reply to all of them, but we'll have some fun with that on the YouTube channel. So keep your eyes on the comment sections from last week's videos this evening when I get a chance to sit down. I digress. We're going to talk about the Dolphins secondary next here on this episode of Locked On Dolphins, so stick with us. It is post-game, though. It's about 5 o'clock. You get late at night. It's Sunday night. I can tell you what I did for dinner. I ordered DoorDash, and I got made sure when that game ended and I started getting my notes together, and before I walked upstairs to sit at this computer and record this podcast, you bet your bottom dollar, I hopped on DoorDash and I ordered green turtle for me and the family to make sure that we have dinner that's waiting for me when I get downstairs from posting the show and we can eat. It takes the pressure off of having to cook a meal when you get in a pinch. DoorDash has all of your favorite restaurants and also has all of your favorite local retail. So whether you are prepping for your tailgate to take your tailgate to the next level, or you are in a pinch and need a meal for you and the family at home, DoorDash has you covered. So download the DoorDash app. And you can get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and use code LOCK23. So that's 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more with your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCKED23. Subject to change and terms do apply. Game ball goes to Jalen Ramsey. There is no other way around it. And I kind of sat on Jalen Ramsey because I know when we played the Patriots game, I talked about the tangible difference that Jalen Ramsey was going to provide for this football team. But Jalen Ramsey has 2 interceptions in this game. The Dolphins have 3 interceptions as a team. So you claw back from a 3 turnover deficit, and you finish this game with 3 takeaways defensively to go with 296 yards of total offense and to go with, what's the number? 2.3 yards per carry. This defense pitched a shutout in the second half. You won turnover, the time of possession battle. And the play at the end of the game, That is the killer instinct. That is the special breed of football player. That is a play that you as a player either have in your DNA to make or you don't. Because you are covering Davante Adams in the final minute near midfield in a one-score game. And you sag off and you bait Aiden O'Connell to throw that big post because Javon Holland drives on the crosser over the middle. And credit to Deshaun Elliott, who was the far side safety, because he got back there and he could have contested that throw as well. But it was Jalen Ramsey playing off enough and playing with eyes to the backfield enough, but having the spatial geometric understanding of how far can I afford to sag off? How can I prompt the throw? What angle do I need to take to drive the ball? Making sure I have the acceleration skills to get and undercut the throw, high pointing the football to make sure Davante Adams' hands don't touch the ball at all, and then making the catch and going to the ground and getting your hands underneath the ball while landing directly on the football and knocking the wind out of you. Like that, that is such a special play. It cannot be overstated. Jalen Ramsey has arrived, and with it comes a Dolphins defense that will continue to elevate their standing, will continue to elevate their game, and should continue to elevate your expectations. It was a hell of a play. And the first one was pretty darn good too. Really excited about the defensive performance. You consider where they started some of these drives. You had the touchdown pass to Davante Adams. And that play, 46 yards, was, if we're being honest, probably a play in which there was some contact down the field against Deshaun Elliott that some officials might not have agreed with. You don't want to take it away from him. Adams made a play on the ball. He tracked the ball really well. O'Connell put it out in front of him. If he underthrows it, it's probably a pick. Okay, so you get an explosive play touchdown, 46 yards. The Raiders take over. They go 7 plays, 14 yards in 4 minutes and kick a field goal. The Raiders go 4 plays, 3 yards and kick a field goal. So 2 of their 3 scoring drives in the entirety of this football game, they went 11 plays and gained 17 yards and got 6 points out of it. That should really emphasize the performance of the defense against Las Vegas. And then you look at the second half. The third quarter, the Raiders had 3 possessions. They went 3 plays, 8 yards. 1 play, 0 yards. 3 plays, 9 yards. And then they go 6 plays, 10 yards. And that drive started in the third quarter and went to the fourth quarter. And then they go 6 plays, 19 yards. So the Raiders gained. They ran 17 plays on the final 2 possessions when Miami was playing soft and protecting the lead. And they got 117 yards of their 296 in the final 5 minutes of the game after Jake Bailey put a punt 30 yards. Actually, that was the pipe bomb punt. So that was the one that he punted back to the 1 yard line that was returned to the 13. So Miami's defense to start the second half goes 3 for 8, 1 for 0, and a turnover, 3 for 9, 6 for 10, 6 for 19, and then has interceptions on the final 2 possessions. Defense gets the job done. The Dolphins as a team collectively get the job done. They move to 7-3. The Bills and Jets are currently playing one another as I'm recording. It's about 5 minutes into the second quarter. The Bills are up 9-0 is what the box score currently says. So we'll see what the final score of that looks like. But Miami looking to extend this stranglehold on the AFC East. A very critical win for them with their big picture aspirations. They get the job done despite not performing to their own standards and everybody else's standards. Collective sigh of relief. But welcome to Club Dub. It's been a few weeks. We're back. Kick your feet up, make yourself at home, and hopefully we can extend our stay. Our next check-in hopefully is Friday afternoon against the New York Jets. I'm Kyle Krabs. That is going to do it for this post-game episode of Locked On Dolphins. It's your team every day. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm out of here. Fins up. Enjoy the win.